Good day, everyone. We're the Team Adrian All-Stars, and we will be presenting our research paper entitled Unveiling the Influence of Attitude, Subjective Norms, and Perceived Behavioral Control in Greenwashing Perception and Purchase Intention among Gen Z Filipino Consumers Towards Clothing Brands. I am Levin, Salac, and together with me are Andrea Añonuevo, Reanna, Inza-Cruz, and Mendiola. For the problem, clothing brands that constantly join greenwashing movement have been misleading the public. They demonstrate a seemingly genuine intent to contribute to sustainable initiatives when their actions behind the public eye are inconsistent with what they say. With this, we aim to investigate the factors that contribute to the greenwashing perception and purchase intention of Filipinos under Gen Z toward clothing brands that employ greenwashing. Hence, our objectives are number one, to examine the effect of greenwashing perception on consumer purchase intention, number two, to evaluate the significance of attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control in terms of their effect on purchase intention, and thirdly, to investigate the role of attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control in mediating the impact of greenwashing perception on purchase intention.
The significance of this study extends to multiple dimensions. Aligning with Sustainable Development Goals, this study directly supports SDG 12 responsible consumption and production as it empowers consumers to make informed and responsible choices. The study also supports SDG 13 climate action as promoting genuine sustainable clothing can help mitigate the environmental impact of the fashion industry. Lastly, this supports SDG 16 peace, justice, and strong institutions as it advocates for regulatory frameworks that ensure fair business practices. Furthermore, understanding how deceptive green marketing impacts consumer responses enables companies to refine their branding and product offerings to align with consumer values and preferences. This alignment not only enhances business credibility but also adheres to the RVRCOB Code of Ethics, which emphasizes integrity, transparency, and consumer trust. Ultimately, the promotion of genuinely sustainable clothing benefits businesses, consumers, and the environment. This outcome aligns with the Covenant for Shared Prosperity by advocating for economic growth that is inclusive and environmentally responsible, ensuring prosperity is shared equitably across society. Moving on to the scope, limitations, and delimitations. The study focused on understanding the factors influencing Filipino Gen Z students' purchasing intentions for clothing brands. Its limitations include response bias, as participants' awareness of greenwashing practices might have influenced their responses, as well as time constraints, since the study's short duration of one academic term limited the depth of the research. As a delimitation, the study was exclusively confined to the clothing industry, limiting the generalizability of findings to other product categories or industries.
Moving on, this slide presents an overview of related literature in four key areas relevant to green marketing and consumer behavior. First, we have greenwashing, wherein Kerner in 2023 defined this as organizations making deceptive claims about their environmental benefits. An example is H&M's case, where their eco-compatible claims were found to be unsupported. Next is green advertising, wherein Okan and Yalman in 2014 described this as promoting environmentally friendly products. Also, Dermaz and Cavas in 2022 found that green advertising can boost sales and raise environmental awareness. Third, we have green consumer knowledge, wherein Kaufman et al. In 2012 defined this as consumers' understanding of environmental concepts. Also, study shows that environmentally conscious consumers prioritize eco-friendly products and are more loyal to sustainable companies. Lastly, green perception is defined by Yadav and Pathak in 2016 as an individual's awareness of environmental issues and their actions' impact. This is because brands that are seen as genuinely green can differentiate themselves and attract environmentally conscious consumers.
Now on to three factors influencing green purchase intention. Riza and Columna defined attitude as the behavioral beliefs that one may possess when critically analyzing their intent to purchase. Study of Matutu and Wikaksono et al. Found that a positive attitude towards green consumption significantly impacts the intention to buy green products. On the other hand, Sansom defines subjective norms, social pressures encompassing both the perceived expectation of others and the value an individual places on meeting those expectations. Studies of Dewi et al., Almasid et al., and others found that social pressures from friends, family, and society can influence an individual's decision to purchase green products. Meanwhile, perceived behavioral control was defined by Rausch et al. As an individual's subjective perception, which plays a significant role in the relationship between consumers' intention based on the theory of planned behavior. Sharma et al. And Nguyen et al. Found that a positive perception of brand authenticity and strong peer recommendations can increase perceived behavioral control and purchase intention.
Purchase intention, as defined by Zhang, is an individual's inclination or desire to buy a specific product in the future. Understanding and analyzing this equips the business and marketers what drives consumer behavior and how they can influence it. The theory of planned behavior of Adrian suggests that the more positive the factors, such as attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control, the stronger the purchase intention is. We have actually come across a number of research studies that align with this. Next is Gen Z's purchasing intention. Gen Z are individuals born between 1997 and 2012. Based on research, this group compared to previous generations are the ones who are more concerned about sustainable consumption. In fact, based on a study, 73% of Gen Z consumers are said to be willing to pay more for sustainable products. However, despite Gen Z's environmental awareness, some studies show some inconsistencies or gaps in consumers' actual purchasing versus sustainability. The high consumption of fast fashion can prove this. Hence, the focus is finding out more on the factors or determinants along with greenwashing perception that influence purchase intention positively.
The research philosophy is rooted in pragmatism, which perfectly aligns with the study's objectives. The researchers are aiming for practical insights and actionable recommendations in two key areas, which are factors influencing purchasing behavior and the perception of greenwashing in the clothing industry. Pragmatism is ideal for this approach because it focuses on solving real world problems and emphasizes the practical implications of the findings. This philosophy supports the use of mixed methods as it combines quantitative analysis through multiple regression with qualitative exploration of attitudes, norms, trust, and perceived risk. The theoretical framework is based on the theory of planned behavior, which will be used to explore the purchasing intentions of Gen Z Filipino consumers in the context of eco friendly clothing. This theory comprises of three key components: the attitude towards behavior, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. This theory also shows that behavior depends on two main factors, which are an individual's motivation and their capacity to perform the behavior. This framework is also particularly relevant to the study for several reasons. First, it explains how green purchasing intentions are formed. It also takes into account both social influences and personal control. Lastly, it helps us predict eco friendly consumer behavior.
Moving on to the conceptual framework, this figure provides a theoretical basis for understanding the factors that influence consumers' perception of greenwashing and how this affects their purchase intention. This was used to analyze the relationships between these constructs in the context of greenwashed clothing brands. To expand on this framework, the following are the research questions and
Now
hypothesis.
we move on to the research design. For data collection, we derived a valid sample population of 84, but we got 87 actual responses. We used an online survey questionnaire via Google Forms sent out to our target respondents and used a 7-point Likert scale. The questions were sourced from related literature and categorized per variable. To test the reliability of the questions, we did the Cronbach alpha testing. Next, for the sampling technique, in order to get responses faster, we used non-probability convenience purposive sampling. In the interest of time, we targeted respondents who would respond quickly as compared to people randomly selected. Although we noted that the lack of randomness can lead to potential biases and reduced accuracy in the obtained results. Next is the analysis tools. We used mixed method. We did both quantitative and qualitative analysis. We used regression analysis as well as multiple regression to facilitate mediation analysis. This was instrumental in accounting factors that have the most impact on the dependent variable, which is purchasing intention. This also provided some insights as to what the extent of the intervention was impacting purchasing intention. By the way, we used both Jamovi and Excel and arrived at the same results.
Moving on to the descriptive analysis of the demographics of the respondents. Our sample primarily comprised undergraduate students of Salle University. They are between the ages of 18 and 23, with the highest concentration in business-related degree programs, particularly applied corporate management, followed by business management, among others. Most respondents identify as female with 75%, followed by male with 25%, followed by LGBTQIA+, and individuals who prefer not to say with both 2.3%. Income or allowance levels are concentrated in the 2,000 to 5,000 pesos per month with 34.5%, more than 8,000 per month with 33.3%, and 5,000 to 8,000 per month with 24.1%. The respondents are also frequent shoppers with 47.1% shopping once every few months and 31% shopping once a month. Zara, H&M, and Uniqlo are the top three most shopped brands of the respondents.
For the reliability test, the table shows the mean and the actual result of the Cronbach alpha testing per variable. The perceived behavioral control had the highest mean of 5.93 and the rest are more than 5.0. In a 7-point Likert scale, having a mean greater than 5 indicates that on average, respondents' opinions or perceptions lean towards the positive end of the scale. We leverage this information in drawing the conclusions based on the favorable responses. As for the Cronbach alpha testing, all variables are above zero point 0.7, which indicates high internal consistency reliability, supporting the credibility of research findings and facilitating accurate interpretation of the results of the study.
Now, on to regression analysis. Linear regression analysis were conducted to examine the relationships between each variable in the framework. This first set of statistics shows the relationships between greenwashing perceptions and three dependent variables: attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. Greenwashing perceptions show a statistically significant positive relationship with all three dependent variables, but the strength of these relationships varies. For attitude, the strongest relationship is observed with greenwashing perceptions explaining 43.3% of the variance in attitude with R squared equal to 0.433, beta level equal to 0.492, and p-value less than 0.001. For subjective norm, a moderate relationship is found with greenwashing perceptions accounting for 13.3% of the variance in subjective norms, with R squared equal to 0.133, beta level equal to 0.322, and p-value less than 0.001. For perceived behavioral control, the weakest relationship is seen with greenwashing perceptions explaining only 6.79% of the variance, with R squared equal to 0.0679, beta value equal to 0.191, and p-value equal to 0.015. All models are statistically significant, indicating that greenwashing perceptions have a meaningful impact on these variables, particularly on attitude. The positive regression coefficients suggest that as greenwashing perceptions increase, so do the values of these dependent variables. This second set of the linear regression statistics shows the relationship between four independent variables, which are attitude, subjective norms, perceived behavioral control, and greenwashing perception, and the dependent variable purchase intention. All four independent variables show statistically significant positive relationships with purchase intention, but once again, the strength of this relationship varies. Attitude accounts for 29.3% of the variance, with R squared equal to 0.293, beta value equals to 0.579, and p value less than 0.001. Subjective norms explains 38.5% of the variance, with R squared equals to 0.385, beta value equals to 0.562, and p value less than 0.001. Perceived behavioral control explains 27.5%, with R squared equal to 0.275, beta value equals to 0.572, and p value less than 0.001. Greenwashing perception, which is the weakest relationship, accounts for 13.2% of the variance, with R squared equals to 0.132, beta value equals to 0.290, and p-value less than 0.001. All models are statistically significant, indicating that each independent variable has a meaningful impact on purchase intention. The positive regression coefficients suggest that as each of these variable increases, so does purchase intention. Overall, subjective norms appear to have the strongest influence on purchase intention, followed closely by attitude and perceived behavioral control. Greenwashing perception, while still significant, has a notably weaker relationship with purchase intention compared to other variables.
We also performed multiple regression to determine the impact of combining the independent variable, greenwashing perception, with the three mediating variables. First, we combined greenwashing perception with attitude, then with subjective norm, then with perceived behavioral control. Looking at the results on the right side, you can see the overall p-value is still less than 0.001, which indicates the regression model being statistically significant. However, it should also be noted that the variable's individual p-value, particularly greenwashing perception, increased to 0.924 when combined with the attitude, and 0.084 when combined with subjective norms. This can be interpreted that greenwashing perception, when combined with the other variables in a multiple regression model with purchase intention, can be overshadowed, highlighting its strength in influencing purchase intention. To continue, this time we combined greenwashing perception with the entire three mediating variables and performed another multiple regression analysis and another without greenwashing perception. If we look at the results on the right side, the overall model test results through the p-value less than 0.001 are still statistically significant, but the greenwashing perception in the table below returns a p-value of 0.614. This means that the three variables can really overshadow it. Hence, the focus on these variables is essential to positively influence purchase intention. We also did a mediation analysis. The model is similar to what we did in multiple regression, where we tried to combine the independent variable, greenwashing perception, with the mediating variable, and then we compare the impact from the linear regression model. The steps below help to study the importance and the statistical significance of both the direct and indirect or mediated path. Performing the steps, we've come up with a table on the right where p-values are similar to the earlier result in the multiple regression model we showed earlier. Again, this highlights the mediating effect of attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control between greenwashing perception and purchase intention. Given the results in the regression and multiple regression analysis where we got a p-value of less than 0.001, this means that the model is statistically significant. Hence, we can reject the null hypothesis and confirm the strong relationship between the variables.
For this slide, the qualitative analysis revealed insights into two key areas, the sustainability and greenwashing. Regarding sustainability, the interviewees demonstrated a comprehensive understanding beyond surface level definitions. They view it as balancing human needs with environmental preservation. According to them, sustainability is connected to daily choices and personal responsibility. There's also a forward thinking mindset considering broader implications. It also indicates that Gen Z shows awareness of both personal choices and systemic changes needed. Moving on to greenwashing, they defined it as the deceptive exaggeration of sustainability efforts. The interviewees expressed frustration with difficulty in identifying truthful brands. There's also skepticism towards vague or unrealistic green claims.
For green purchase intent, most interviews express a willingness to purchase green fashion products, albeit with different priorities. There's also a common theme of balancing sustainability with other factors such as affordability, availability, style, and quality. For attitude toward purchase, they are willing to change their habits, but they want assurance that their efforts are meaningful and not based on exaggerated claims. Additionally, affordability emerges as another significant factor. For subjective norms, the inconsistency in research habits across interviewees suggests that there may not be a strong social expectation or pressure to verify environmental claims, which could be influencing individual behaviors. And finally, for perceived behavioral control, most of them express a general preference for green products, but their use of phrases like try to and mostly indicates that they perceive certain limitations to do so, despite their desire to choose green products.
Moving on to the discussion part of this research, this slide discusses the direct relationship between greenwashing perception and purchase intention. The study found that participants had a mean score of 5.02 in greenwashing perception, which indicates a high awareness of misleading environmental claims. This awareness negatively influenced their purchase intentions. This findings also aligns with Nguyen et al.'s 2019 study, which showed that consumer skepticism towards greenwashing significantly impacts purchase intentions. This suggests that as Gen Z Filipino consumers become more adept at recognizing greenwashing, they are more likely to be cautious in their purchasing decisions regarding supposedly sustainable products. This slide examines the mediating rules of attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. Attitude towards green products had a mean score of 5.47, showing a positive influence on purchase intentions. This reinforces consumers' commitment to sustainable choices despite awareness of greenwashing. Subjective norms scored 5.14, highlighting significant social pressure from peers and family. This aligns with Almaceeds et al.'s 2021 findings on the importance of social influence in purchase decisions. Lastly, perceived behavioral control had the highest mean score at 5.93, reflecting participants' confidence in making environmental friendly choices. This high level of perceived control helps mitigate the negative impact of greenwashing on purchase intentions. The qualitative insights reveal strong consumer skepticism towards sustainability claims among Gen Z Filipino consumers. They emphasize the importance of transparency and third party certifications in building trust. Interviewees expressed a positive attitude towards sustainability and felt social accountability from their peer groups, reinforcing the quantitative findings on subjective norms. Lastly, perceived behavioral control was evident in participants' confidence in identifying genuine sustainable trends, though they acknowledged the effort required to verify claims. This qualitative data provides deeper context to the quantitative results, which offers a more comprehensive understanding of Gen Z consumers' decision making process in sustainable fashion purchases.
Once again, for this study, we have used mixed methods approach. For quantitative, we used virtual survey via Google Forms, and for qualitative, we used individual interviews. Our analysis include linear and multiple regression, and our key findings include direct relationship between greenwashing perception and purchase intention, and attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavior control mitigate purchase intentions.
Now on to the research recommendations. First, clothing brand owners should prioritize authentic sustainability efforts, enhance transparency by providing detailed information about this to build consumer trust, and develop marketing strategies that resonate with the attitudes and social norms of consumers regarding ethical fashion. Second, clothing brand consumers should critically evaluate the sustainability claims made by brands. By being informed and skeptical of potential greenwashing, consumers can make more responsible and ethical purchasing decisions. Third, policymakers should focus on developing and enforcing stricter guidelines for environmental claims in marketing to prevent greenwashing in the fashion industry. They could also implement programs to increase public awareness about sustainable fashion and how to identify greenwashing. Finally, future researchers should consider expanding the demographic scope by conducting similar studies with different age groups or in other geographic regions to compare results and identify broader trends. They could also delve deeper into specific greenwashing tactics, their impact on different consumer segments, and the long term consequences of greenwashing on brand reputation. Additionally, investigating the role of cultural factors, media influence, and emerging technologies on consumer perceptions would also contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of the phenomenon. Lastly, longitudinal studies could also be conducted to track changes in consumer attitudes and behaviors over time.
As for the implications, for businesses, the research study offers valuable insights to adapt strategies that effectively engage with their target consumer segment. Management implications may include campaigns that are aligned with the values and beliefs of the demographic. For example, introducing sustainable products using ethical production methods that are aligned with consumer expectations. This way, consumer engagement can be improved. For marketers, leveraging influencers who align with sustainable values and have high credibility among the target audience can be a strategic approach to positively influence greenwashing perception and purchasing intention. The study findings can be used to establish key metrics to monitor the effectiveness of marketing campaigns. Brands can play a role in empowering consumers to make informed choices and enhance brand loyalty. And finally, for policymakers, they can use the research findings to enhance consumer protection against deceiving marketing practices and greenwashing. They can develop mechanisms for monitoring and enforcing compliance with sustainability standards and regulations, as well as promote CSR for positive social impact.
And this wraps our report on unveiling the influence of attitudes, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control in greenwashing perception and purchase intention among Gen Z Filipino consumers towards clothing brands. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your feedback on how to help improve our research further. Thank you.